It's all good.
Cool. So we are live right now. Let me go to my Facebook quick and let me share this where it needs to be shared. And I will also tag you, Doc, in this post so that we can get moving here.
Sounds good.
There we go. So you're tagged now. And now let me get this shared to my group. And then let's get this shared to my page, if I can find it. There it is. Cool. Awesome. Well, hello, Doc. Good evening.
Hi there.
How are you?
I am great. Thank you very much for inviting me today.
Absolutely. Honored to have you. Honored for you to be on this show. Everyone, welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast presented by the legendary Chiropractor online community. We are here tonight with Dr. Shaelyn Osborn. Did I say those two names correctly?
Correctly.
Awesome.
Thank you. Gold star.
Awesome. Yes. Dr. Shaelyn is a chiropractor in Canada, I believe.
That's correct.
Awesome. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell your chiropractic story if you have one, and then I'll break down the topics we're going to cover tonight, and then we'll hop right into content because that's what's most important, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm a chiropractor in Canada, but I'll tell you a little bit how I started in chiropractic and how I even got introduced to chiropractic. Because it really is, as I look back as an adult now, it really is kind of a crazy story. So, I did my undergraduate at the University of Western Ontario in kinesiology. And I knew I wanted to do something with people, knew I wanted to do something with health, but I didn't know exactly what. So I took a year off after I graduated, and my mom came home one day with a pamphlet about chiropractic she used to take my aunt to the chiropractor. So interesting story. My aunt, my great aunt, she was in a car accident when she was 20, shattered her pelvis, was told she'd never walk again.
Wow.
So she went to see the chiropractor and she was adjusted from that point until the day she died at age 94. So, I mean, that's a pretty awesome PVA.
No kidding.
For 70 some odd years and, kept her functioning well. She walked everywhere. She, did really, really well. So my mom had taken her to the chiropractor and she came home with this information sheet about chiropractic and about chiropractic college. And my mom said, I think this is something that you'd be interested in. So I started doing my research and, at that time there was only one school in Canada. Now there's two, but the other one's French speaking. So only one school in Canada. So I did look at the schools in the States and, did my due diligence and did my research. And then the interesting, crazy part of the story is I went to a wedding of a dear friend of mine and sitting at the table and right behind me was a chiropractor. So I turned around and he and I were chatting and, asking him, what do you do? What do you love about chiropractic? Where would you go to school? All of that stuff. And at that moment, the mother of the groom walked by and she stopped dead in her tracks and she said, oh, chiropractic. She said, you need to meet my chiropractor, Dr. Janice Hughes. And she walks away. So sure enough, I get on the phone Monday morning and I call up Dr. Janice Hughes' office and I said, I want to introduce myself. I want to know a little bit more about chiropractic. And she said, well, great. Come on into the office. Have you ever been adjusted before? And I said, nope, I've never been adjusted. And she says, well, that's where we need to start because if you're going to be a chiropractor, you have to know what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
So I came in as a new patient and, she obviously educated me a little bit more in depth as we went along and, not necessarily the chiropractic education because she did a wonderful job of that, but a little more in depth about the schooling and what to look for and, all of that stuff. And so I did apply to CMCC. My goal was to stay in Canada. The dollar was really crappy back then. So wanted to stay in Canada if it was possible. But it's interesting because at my interview, I remember them asking me, they said, because there's a written part, you have to submit your marks, and then there's an interview if you make it to that part. So I did make it to that part, and I went in for the interview, and I remember them saying to me, so what are you going to do if you don't get in here? And I looked at them, like maybe a little cocky, and I said, well, I've already decided I'm a chiropractor. I said, whether I go here or not doesn't really matter to me. I said, because I'm going to be a chiropractor.
Yeah.
So either, you take me here or I'll go to the States if need be. And they kind of went, oh, okay. So sure enough, got into chiropractic, and in Canada it's 4 years. So went through, but always kept in touch with Dr. Janice. And, she mentored me through school. There's, as you know, there's some ups and downs along the way, and really helped keep me focused on the big picture and helped keep me grounded and moving forward and moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So of course, like, I'd lived in Brantford my whole life, and at the beginning I didn't really have any intention of going back. Young 20-year-old wanted to see the world. 25, I graduate, and I'm like, okay, let's go back home. Dr. Janice had always left the door open that I could come back and associate with her. So that was my first experience as my chiropractic mentor. I was her associate. So as soon as I graduated, came back and started working with Dr. Janice. And then, after about 3 years, she left to go to Palmer to teach, moved down to the States to teach at Palmer. And then I bought the practice, and I've owned it now for 17 years. So
awesome.
Had a lot of changes. And, at the beginning, it was a challenge. The other interesting part is 1 week before I signed on the dotted line to purchase the practice, I found out I was pregnant. I'd been married the fall before, and, we knew we were going to have kids at some point, but I'm like, you think you're waiting for the perfect time, and there is no perfect time. So you just do what you need to do, but it, really put the pressure on that I, at that point, knowing what I had on the line and that I was purchasing this practice and really stepping in the role from an associate, all of a sudden jumping into that owner doctor role. Mm-hmm. So learning how to step into my own leadership and also make that transition with the patients, because a lot of them were, those long-term wellness patients. So really learning how to, step into that leadership role with the team, and then also step into that leadership role with the patients as well, while navigating this new pregnancy. So it was like do or die. And obviously, you just make those decisions, mm-hmm. and you just decide that you're going to do what you need to do to be successful. And you decide that you're going to do what you need to do to make things work. Mm-hmm. And back then, even to purchase the practice, I went to the bank, and of course they ask you, what do you have for collateral? And I'm like, collateral? I have a 96 Jetta, I have a stack of books, and I'm really smart. I'm like, is that enough? And they're like, no. So when I bought the practice, I actually had to have my parents co-sign with their house. So that just ups the ante even more. Right. Like your childhood home is on the line for this practice, and you're now pregnant and, taking over this new role, but you just figure it out. Yeah. And that's one thing, whether it's new grads or whether it's students, and especially, female students, they'll say, how do you do it? How do you juggle being a mom and running a practice? And there's no right or wrong answer. Like, you just figure it out. You figure out what's important to you, and then you figure out how you're going to make that work and what that's going to look like. Right. And, that's where, in working with, my life has kind of come full circle, because now I'm partners with Dr. Janice to inspire women. So it's really, really interesting that we're in business together again. But as we coach women with To Inspire Women, and as we coach students and new grads and everything, I mean, you have to figure out what success looks like for you, and you figure out what your definition of success is, and then you figure out how to make that work. Like, there is, in my opinion, there is no cookie cutter that there's only one way to do things. Yeah. Everybody's different. Every practice is different, and you can design a very successful life and a very successful practice by your own definition and in your own ideals. So, so that's the big story. Now, one other thing that I find really interesting. So probably I've been in practice 20 years now. So about 10 years ago, I ran into that mother of the groom again. And I said to her, she was in the office, and I said to her, I said, do you realize that you're the reason why I'm here? And she like looks at me and she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, you're the one that introduced me to Dr. Janice. And she says, I do not know what you're talking about. And I'm like, okay. I said, because that was a really influential moment in my life, and it changed my entire life. So I told her the story of her walking by, and she has no recollection of that moment.
No kidding.
She did not know she introduced me to Dr. Janice. She does not remember walking by. And it's just a crazy, I don't know. It's just a crazy serendipity or a crazy synchronicity of the universe.
Right.
That's what happened at that moment. And it changed my entire life and is still continuing to change my life. And she has no recollection of that moment. So
that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Yeah. I was just going to say before, and you were like, you brought up the universe, and I was like, the first note I took, I was like, the universe works in mysterious ways.
So does.
Yeah.
So does.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because I think that sometimes, our educated brain gets in the way of that, and we foo-foo those messages, or, she could have walked by and said that, and I could have rolled my eyes and, done something else. But it was just the way she said it and with the intensity that she said it, that it was, it was a sign. And I think sometimes that you really need to take a step back and listen to those little whispers and listen to those messages, because, there's huge opportunity and huge learning in those. So, yeah. Absolutely.
I love that story. I love hearing other people's chiropractic stories. I think it's so fascinating how people get into this profession, what draws people to be a chiropractor, because we always struggle, and we're not talking about this necessarily tonight, but we always struggle getting patients in the door, let alone we never really think about like the wild adventures we went on to get to where we're at, to get into the chiropractic profession. So that's pretty awesome. I love your story. I absolutely love it. And I love that you guys are now in business together. And that's amazing. So before we jump into our topics, I want to ask you, because you mentioned, Dr. Hughes is now your coach, your mentor. You're in business together. She was your coach and mentor. How important is it? And this is kind of a shameless plug for both To Inspire Women and the Legendary Chiropractor online community. But how important is mentoring and coaching and getting people in your corner that really represent what you want out of the world, right? How important is that?
It's huge. And it's interesting that we're talking about this. I was speaking at a seminar on the weekend in Toronto, a chiropractic seminar called Pure and Powerful. Speaking there, and I connected with a couple of the other chiropractors that I hadn't seen in a while. And we talked about that. I said, I've had a coach before I graduated, and I would have called Janice more of a mentor, Dr. Janice more of a mentor when I was a student. But then as soon as I graduated, I hired a coach. Yeah. And especially when I went from that position of being an associate to being the owner doctor, I mean, Dr. Janice said to me, it's a conflict of interest for me to coach you. We need to find you an outside coach. Because she says, I can't coach you on buying my practice and coach you on taking over my practice, because I'm going to tell you to do what I did. And that's not always, the best. Yeah. So that's when I started coaching. But, I've had a coach right from the beginning, and the impact that it's had is incredible. Yeah. Like, even navigating through that pregnancy, and, I've had some ups and downs in practices, and like anybody, some challenges and some learning lessons, and just having that person who, first of all, you trust, second of all, that you resonate with, and third of all, that's been there before. They've had experience that you just haven't had yet. Yeah. So really somebody to take a look at the big picture and say, okay, asking you those hard questions, or asking you those questions to get you to think a little bit bigger and a little bit deeper. And, they're not always telling you the answers, but they're asking you the questions that you can discover the answers for yourself. And I think that's one of the qualities of a really great coach, is being able to ask great questions. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's a great point. I love that, because sometimes they keep you on track by, providing an answer in the short term, but at the same time, the long-term goal of a coach is to get you to where you want to be and how you want to get there. They're just there to guide you, ask you the right questions, and that's so true. It's questions that you have the answers inside. You just haven't had the ability or figured out yet how to tap into them, maybe.
For sure. And as a student and as a new grad, like looking back over the past 20 years, like when you're a student or when you first graduate, you don't know what you don't know. So to have somebody kind of open up those, ideas, possibilities, questions, options, like just get you thinking a little bit bigger and a little better, it's priceless. It really, really, I attribute coaching and the coaching over my career, and it's evolved and changed, people that I've chosen as to coach me. But it really, really helps propel you forward. I mean, why make the same mistakes that everybody else has made?
Yeah.
I hope that I can share with you a better way so that you can accelerate your learning, so that you can quantum leap your learning, so that, you can excel that much faster than going through the school of hard knocks or going through what everybody else has been through. Learn from others and get yourself that much further forward.
Absolutely. I love that answer. And I think it's important. So I wanted to bring that up right away while we were on the topic of it, because we both, have these programs that are available for students and doctors even. So I think it's important.
Like your Mentor Up program is phenomenal.
I appreciate it.
I'm really, really impressed with that. So thank you for providing that.
Absolutely. We're just trying to move the profession forward.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, so let's hop into things here. I know you are an expert. I consider you an expert with what I've followed you on Facebook with and Instagram and everything on social media that you guys put out. But you specifically seem to be very into and very good at talking the talk about hiring CAs, talking the talk about hiring a team. And surrounding yourself by the right people, not only for yourself personally, but also for a business standpoint, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we need to dive into that. Wherever you want to start, Doc, you got free reins here. I will kind of take what you're throwing out there, and if I generate a question, I might generate a question. But other than that, please fill us in with where to start, how to start. And if you want to tie it into students coming right out of school or docs that are out, now 20 years or so, or even 5 years, I'm sure anyone and every chiropractor can benefit from what you're going to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that, a lot of times chiropractors look at a CA or a chiropractic assistant as an expense. And the way that I look at it a little bit differently is my team, my CAs, they're an investment. And the reason being is because I can't do what I do without a team. Like I really can't. Or I could do it, but it would be at a much smaller capacity. And, my vision or my mission is to help as many people as possible with high quality chiropractic care. Well, in order to do that, I've got to have a team behind me. So I really, really think that we need to, shift our mindset from thinking of chiropractic assistants, instead of thinking of them as staff or employees, excuse me, what I like to do is think of them as paraprofessionals. So I really, really, really don't like firing people. It is really uncomfortable. I've done it and I don't like it. So in order not to do that, I better make a really, really good hire. Mm-hmm. So my first CA that I hired, so when I knew I was buying the practice from Dr. Janice, the first CA that I hired, I chose very deliberately. I chose very carefully, and I was looking for somebody that wanted a career in chiropractic. So she's still with me now. She's been with me 17 years. Phenomenal person. But that's what I teach people to do, is hire career CAs. And the reason being is if you look at how much time, money, and energy it costs when you constantly have to fire somebody, rehire, retrain, fire somebody, rehire, retrain. I've read it costs between $25,000 and $50,000 on a bad hire. So again, as we talked about, let's learn from other people and let's accelerate that learning curve. So let's figure out a system for hiring right the first time so that we don't have to go through that painful lesson. Mm-hmm. So, things like you first of all have to know what your brand is and what your culture is and what you're trying to do in your office. Creating that community in your office, whatever that looks like, so that you know what type of person you're looking to bring in. And even going from there, you need to know who it is that you'd love to hire. So usually when we coach new graduates and people that have just started out in practice, or even people who've been in practice a while, sometimes they don't have this, but you've heard of the new patient profile. So who would your ideal patient be? Yeah. And you write a description of what your ideal practice member would be. Well, the same thing with a chiropractic assistant. Who would your ideal chiropractic assistant be? And writing a detailed description of who you'd love to attract into that position. I find a lot of times people are hiring out of desperation. So somebody quit. They need somebody at the front desk. Who do we know? Well, Mary's cousin's brother's sister's aunt needs a job. So let's just put her in there. Right. And we're just filling the space with a body. Right. And you look at big companies and Fortune 500 companies, there's a vetting process to bring somebody on their team. Well, I don't think that our business should be run any differently. I think that, and I've created, I've written an online hiring course, created a system for getting that ideal person into our practice and making sure that they're vetted properly so that we don't have high staff turnover. So one is because I don't like firing, but two is in our office, at least, we create a sense of family and a sense of community. And we want that person, whether it be the front desk or, a clinical CA or office manager, we want that person as part of our family as well. Yeah. So, I make very, very deliberate hires, and I know exactly what I'm looking for when I start the hiring process. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. You make so many great points, but career CAs, I took that away. I wrote it down right away because I think that's important because I worked at a couple places that I was an intern or a CA, but I was going to chiropractic school and they always knew it, but they wanted me to get in there to see the CA part of chiropractic first before I got into chiropractic school, before I graduate, before I become a doctor. And they wanted me to see that process, which I thought was really important. So what are your thoughts on, temporary CAs who are intending on going to chiropractic school? Do you think that's a good idea?
It's your choice. I think it's great for somebody that is planning on going to chiropractic school. I think it gives you a great introduction to everything. Like if you can run the front desk, you can do everything. I give my CAs so much credit for how much they do for me and for my patients and for the office. But as the doctor, you just have to be realistic and know that person is going to be short term. Mm-hmm. So, for example, you may have been 2 years, 3 years maybe, and then you're going to have to rehire. Yeah. So, you've got to make that decision and you've got to decide if that's right for you. What we've done instead is we've done placement for people in our community. So we've done high school co-ops and allowed, a young person to come in and shadow and, we give them tasks to do and they see how the office is run. And we've had some incredible high school co-op students. One's gone on to open up and run her own business. She had no interest in chiropractic specifically, but she did want to know how a small business runs.
Interesting, yeah.
So she was incredible. She was really, really, really great. But I knew that she was part-time. I knew that she was short-term. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't instead of my main chiropractic assistant. She was an add-on to that.
Absolutely.
So, and again, we've done medical office assistant. Some of the local colleges ask if we'll take on a co-op student for that program, or now they call it administrative office assistant.
Okay.
And we've said yes to that.
Yeah.
We know that that person isn't going to be long-term, and we know that their hours are limited. They have school. They can't be there full-time. So we just work around that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, my answer is there is no right or wrong. You just have to know that if that's your main person, then you're going to be hiring again, and, they may have some conflict with school and all of that stuff. So you just have to make that decision.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think as chiropractors, we should open our offices to more students. I think that we should show them, the behind the scenes and how to run an office and all of that stuff, because I think that information is invaluable to students and new grads as well, that they see how to run a business, that they see what's behind the scenes and what a chiropractic assistant does. So, yeah.
And it's like, if you have one CA, like you keep saying, you have that CA that you trust, that you rely on, that you have long term, and that was your deliberate hire. But like you're saying, it's bringing in students, bringing in co-op students, bringing in people who are interested in not only chiropractic, but maybe small businesses, and knowing they're short term and knowing they're not there to stay, but you're there to teach them incredible value.
Absolutely.
From your office, which I think it's kind of a praise, right? If a student is interested in looking and working for you as a chiropractic assistant, going to chiropractic school, I think that's kind of high praise. It's saying, hey, I really love how your office is run, and I'd love to be a part of it for this short stint of time, and then I'll go on my way, right?
Yeah. So it's just knowing what you're getting into, and if that fits for you and that's what works, then that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to hear that, because I'm like, I've been on the other side, and I don't know. Were you ever a CA before with Dr. Hughes or anything?
No. Oh, actually I did temporarily. So a friend of mine who was 2 years ahead of me in chiropractic school set up a practice, and he needed help. So I went in and pitched in and helped a couple days a week in his office.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Yeah. I thought I'd throw it out there. And then next was, I want to talk about your 12 steps. I think I read on Instagram like the other day, this might be part of your online course, so I don't know how much you can give away or whatnot, but you have 12 steps to hiring the perfect CA. And I would love for you to kind of just touch on either what's in the course, or maybe go through a couple of your favorite steps that you think are most important for chiropractors.
Yeah. So the course is called How to Hire Your Ideal CA. And if you want to look at the course, the page for that is www.toinspirewomen.com/superstar CA. Okay. And the other thing that I'll throw out there too, Johnny, is I have a free webinar this Thursday. So Thursday, March 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's open to everybody, students, new grads, seasoned practitioners, men, women, it doesn't matter. I have a gentleman who's been in practice 40 years who's asked me to help him. So he's going to jump on the webinar as well. So if you want to join the webinar, it's toinspirewomen.com/teach me to hire. So throwing that out there. So what the online course is, I took a look at what I've done. So one of my CAs has been here 17 years, as I said. I have another one who's been here 12 years. Another one who's been 7 years. And then I took over another chiropractor's practice and took over her CA as well, who's been here 15 or 16 years too. So she's only been with me about 5, but she's got that history in chiropractic.
Right.
They love chiropractic. They understand chiropractic, and they're long-term career CAs or paraprofessionals, as I call them. So through that, I was taking a look at the questions that people are asking me. So, whether it was my friends or coaching clients, and they were always asking me, how do you do that? How do you hire for longevity? What are you looking for? So I decided last year to put a course together, an online course on how to hire your ideal CA. So it includes, it's a 12 module course, and it includes videos, it includes worksheets, it includes a manual, a comprehensive manual, and I put samples and templates in there as well. And I essentially walk you through the hiring process. So, awesome. As I said, one of the main things that you need to know is, who are you looking for? So this isn't a job description that you're putting together. You're putting together something for yourself. So same with the new patient avatar, your ideal new patient. You don't put that out in your advertising and say, I only want women with children between this age. You don't do it. But in your ideal client or your ideal patient, maybe a certain type that you love working with. Not that you're going to say no to anyone else, especially as a new grad, but you kind of know what your niche market is. So same with the chiropractic assistant, I encourage people to write a detailed description of exactly who they're looking for. So, what skills, what behaviors, what values, what beliefs, all of those things that they're looking for, write that down in a detailed description. Write it down in so much detail that you can visualize that person. Okay? And again, you're not using it for advertising. This is for you as the chiropractor. Write it down in so much detail that you can visualize that person. And then the other thing that I think is really missed out is writing a detailed career description, or you can call it a job description, but being very, very specific as to what that person will be doing in your office. Okay. So again, a lot of people just hire somebody to answer the phone and take payments. Well, when you're hiring somebody that's a paraprofessional, they're going to be doing a whole bunch of other things. Like, I really, really want to empower my team and empower my CAs to take a leadership role in my office. And I frequently use the languaging with my team that we work together. Like, yes, technically I sign their paycheck. I get that. But we work as a team and we work together. There's no hierarchy. Right. We work together. And that took a while to get there. Don't get me wrong. We didn't start out that way because there was training and systems and things that we had to work through in order to get them where we were, working together as a team. But writing out a detailed job description or detailed career description of what exactly you want that person to do, and also what a successful outcome looks like. So here's what the role is. Here are the tasks involved with that. And here's what success looks like in our office, because then you're setting them up for success. Yeah. They know exactly what they need to do, and they know exactly what a successful outcome looks like. So those two are really, really key, knowing who you're looking for and then knowing what you're looking for as well, or what roles and responsibilities that person will fill in your office.
Yeah, so, absolutely. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think everyone should go get on the free webinar. I put the link down at the bottom here. So it's www.toinspirewomen.com/teach-me-to-hire, as well as toinspirewomen.com/superstar-CA to get all of the amazing content that you need to hire the best team possible. So with that all, let's talk about why is it important, and we might have kind of touched on it a little bit already, but why is it important, other than being a direct reflection of the doctor, to have a superstar team or a superstar, if you're just coming out, a superstar, one CA or one person that does most things? Why is that so important?
Well, I like to take a look at what I call dollar productive behavior. So this is going to be the nerdy, geeky, analytical side of me coming out. I love numbers. I love crunching numbers. I'm really good at hiring. I'm also really good at systems, and I'm really good at number crunching. It's my thing.
Awesome. I know who to call now.
So take a look at how many people that you can serve in an hour, and, what that equates to in a dollar value. So what is your dollar productive behavior? So I know how many people that I can see, and I know what that equates to in an hour. Am I going to, and I'm not saying I'm beneath it, I'm just saying it's not dollar productive for me to be printing out receipts and putting labels on brochures and, answering phone call and all of that stuff, it is more benefit of my time and energy to serve more people, to help more people, to adjust more people. Mm-hmm. So again, it's not that I can't do that stuff. It's that it's not dollar productive for me to do that stuff. So I would rather use my skill and talent and energy to adjust that my CA can't do, and then have her or him, but in my office it's a her, have her do all those other things to help support me in the office. And the other thing is it creates so much better flow and so better systems when I have somebody there supporting me. It just creates for a smoother flow, because otherwise if I was all by myself, I'd have to adjust and then I'd pattern interrupt, stop that. And then you get out of that flow, you get out of that groove, and then I'd have to go take a payment, schedule an appointment, bring the other person back. It's just not, if you've ever heard, and students may have heard this, may have not, when you're adjusting and you have people in the office, you get in a zone. So you get in the zone, you're really focused and you're really present with that patient. So for me to all of a sudden interrupt that and be going back and forth would not allow me to be the best chiropractor that I can be. Mm. It would get me out of that flow and it just would not work well for me. So one is the dollar productive, taking a look at how much you have the potential of generating per hour. And by allowing somebody to help me, it frees me up to do that more. So again, that goes back to where I talked about a CA being an investment, not an expense, because my number one role is to adjust, it's to educate patients, and it's to train and lead my team. Mm. That's it. Those are the three things that I do in the office: adjust, educate patients, and train and lead my team.
I love that.
And all of the other roles are delegated to different members of our team. So, they know exactly what they need to do in a day. They're very efficient and very productive at it. And that frees me up to do what's dollar productive me, which is adjust, educate, and lead my team.
I love that. Yeah. Those three things, I've never put them in order like that. And I absolutely love it, because it's the three things that we can do and we can learn how to do when it comes to not only educating patients and being better about our communication, but coming right out of school, we can adjust.
For sure.
And then educating patients, you just got to find your communication style. And then thirdly, train and lead your team. You learn that through mentoring, through coaching, through trial and error and mistakes, right? I mean, people mess up, and I'm sure you've had your fair share of mistakes.
Oh, yes, I have.
Exactly, and that's the thing.
Lessons,
yeah, and that's the thing. But
being a great coach is, been there, and don't do what I did.
Exactly, and that's the thing too. It's I think a coach with more mistakes that is willing to still coach other people on what not to do is a better coach than somebody who's never made a mistake in their life and is willing to just give advice out because they can, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I don't like to think about them as mistakes, because I believe in our lives there is no such thing as a mistake. It's a learning lesson that guides you in a different direction.
I love that.
So I've had some learning lessons that have guided me in a different direction, and it's just opened up the next thing for me.
Right.
But if I can teach somebody from what I've learned and they can quantum leap over that, that's just so much more valuable in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's hard to, kind of look at that from a bird's eye view as a student and be like, I've made so many mistakes or had so many learning lessons already, but are they real world learning lessons, or was it a failed test or a failed, class or whatever it might have been? Are these real world experiences to them at the time? To us at the time, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
But there's a lot that we don't know, which is why I bring amazing people like you on the show so that you can help us before we get out, before we graduate. And that's what's most important. So I want to jump into We kind of talked about the team, why it's important to have a great team, why it's important to have a good CA. Now, going down this road of learning lessons and mistakes and getting back up from them. Now, I've heard some horrific stories about CAs and chiropractors and small business owners that, maybe it's not, I guess it's bad to just clump all CAs together. But you build this trust, you build this rapport, you build this camaraderie with this person, and they've been with you for however long. Now, where do you give up the secrets, or like what you like to keep personal for your business? Where do you give that up? When is it time to say you deserve to know this? You've earned this right to know this information, like money, finances, and things like that, banking accounts. And I feel like it gets pretty dicey at some points, especially if, they might be a new hire and you really come to trust them. Yeah. But should you really? I mean, can you talk about that a little bit? I don't know if I'm going the right direction. Maybe you can help me.
Absolutely. So first of all, if you think that the person at your front desk doesn't know about your finances, you're kidding yourself. Because she collects the money for me.
Absolutely. Yep.
She knows how much I've billed. She knows how much I've collected, and she knows how much people owe.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Would I let them into, right at the beginning, into, my personal finances, or you got to make that decision.
Okay.
I would not hire somebody that I didn't trust in the first place.
Okay.
So, my one CA, the one I hired 17 years ago, she is now my office manager as well. So she helps me with the new patients. She helps me with rescans. We call her a patient advocate, but then she also manages the office as well. I always sign my own checks. I know checks are going by the wayside, but we still have some of those floating around the office. So I always sign my own checks because I need to have an awareness of the business. And I've always been told, you sign, but she does all the bookkeeping for me and the accounting for me. She knows my business. Like, you've got to make that decision. I wouldn't hire somebody that I didn't trust, but I also wouldn't have started her out in that role right away either. So she's had to learn and grow and, be promoted to that role. She didn't start off in that role.
Yeah.
I think that you need to be cautious as students listening to the horror stories. As soon as you said that, it reminded me of being pregnant. And I had the patients come in and they'd tell me, the worst of the worst labor stories. And I'm like, why are you telling me this? Yes, there's things you can learn from that, but you kind of have to know the whole picture.
Yeah.
What I'd encourage you to do as students is go hang out in the office that do have amazing staff, that do have that long-term CA, and see what they're doing differently than everybody else.
Right.
You just have to make a decision when you're comfortable letting a CA know more about the finances or writing the checks.
Yeah.
But they know how much you're collecting. They collect the money from the patients.
Right.
So I always have the philosophy, like if we're growing together, we talk about finances together. At the end of the month, we talk about how many new patients we attracted that month, how many patients we served that month, what our billings were, what our collections were, what our accounts receivable was, what our patient visit average was. Like, we talk about that together, because the more successful I am and the more I grow and the more the practice grows, then I have the opportunity to give them raises. I have the opportunity to take them, traveling to a seminar with me. Like, in my opinion, it's a win-win experience, and they know anyway. So I hope that answers that question.
You did a great job. Yeah, I kind of put you on the spot on that one, but I'm like, I kind of have heard all these stories, and I know you learn as a 10th quarter student now. I'm like, I keep all rumors by the wayside until I'm like, we can trust this one, or whatnot. Find out for yourself, right? So I figured I'd ask the source, which
and
is
I
you.
also think you have to look at you're hearing one piece of the story. You have to look at the entire dynamic, and you never really know that. Do you really want to know? Probably not. But just take it with a grain of salt when you're hearing those horror stories.
I can agree with that. Yeah. And when I want to talk about when or you said you grow as a team, right? You grow as a team. You the more you make or the more you attract, the more your practice grows, the more they're able to grow and the more things they're able to do, which I want to tie back to your original point of finding a CA or a team, building a team that is thoroughly interested in chiropractic, because those are the people that you can bring to seminars. Those are the people that, will love what you're doing in the office and won't necessarily challenge you on philosophical debates or how you're adjusting or things of that nature that are really important to, me even as a student coming out soon. And I'm sure to you as a doctor that is important for you to keep here, especially when you're in that zone, right?
Yeah. And remember too that sometimes the concept of chiropractic, or a lot of times the concept of chiropractic is new for people. But what I'm looking for is the openness to learn. So, part of when I write out my ideal CA profile is their beliefs and their behaviors and their attitudes. So I want them to be open to the holistic lifestyle, open to a wellness lifestyle, open to learning and growing, not only professional growth, but a lot of what we do in chiropractic is personal growth too. Like, it's so intertwined. That I want them to be open to that. So it doesn't necessarily mean, for me anyway, that they have already had experience in that. Like, they don't have to have been a chiropractic patient in my mind, but they have to be open to that lifestyle. Because, whether you know it as a student or you're going to learn it soon, chiropractic is a lifestyle. It's not a job. So we live the chiropractic lifestyle, and my intention or my goal is to attract people on my team who are open to living a wellness lifestyle. So hopefully that kind of answers that question.
It does. It absolutely does. I just wanted to tie in the fact that if you hire someone who's open to this, open to chiropractic, because it is a different world, it is a different lifestyle. If they're interested in going to these seminars or getting raises and stuff like that, and not only interested in that money aspect, that's a very small portion of a reward for what they're doing for you, but hopefully you can provide them with more and they're interested in going with you.
And I take, as a team, we take them to usually 2, sometimes it's been up to 4 chiropractic seminars a year.
Awesome.
Of course, our team has grown. When it was a small team, we used to fly different places to go to seminars. As we grow, it's like, okay, what's local that we can do? And there's really fantastic ones in Toronto, which is only an hour from us. But we go as a team because it's not just the seminar, but it's that community or that bonding that happens, on lunch and on the drive to the seminar, and sharing when we come back, okay, what did you learn? What did you like? What did you not like? Because sometimes there's great learning lessons in figuring out what didn't resonate with people. We loved this speaker. Well, what did you love about them? What are you going to implement on Monday that you learned at the seminar? So it creates just a more coherent and congruent team when we can experience that together. Because I'll be honest, I've gone to seminars on my own and I've come back, whether it's in the office or with my family, I'm like, great, here's what's going to change. And I kind of throw up all over them. And they haven't been with me to experience it.
Right.
So I still come back and, rah, but I have to tone it down a little bit when they haven't been with me, because I've been through this transformational experience where I've learned all this stuff and I want to share it with them, but it just has to be a little gentler share. But when we've been at it together, we can come back and say, okay, we've all experienced this. We've all heard this information. Now we can really, really start to grow and shift and change things in the practice. So I think it's really, really imperative. One is, as the chiropractor, that you continue to attend seminars and find out, what you want to do to continue learning and growing, but also I believe that the team needs to be a part of that too.
Yeah.
And I give them choice, like we'll take a look at the beginning of the year and I'll say, okay, here's some opportunities around. What do you guys want to do? Which ones do you want to participate in? But once we decide, then it's the whole office that goes as a team to these seminars, because it's important.
Yeah.
And it makes them feel connected as well. Because the one that we were at just on the weekend, they met other chiropractic assistants and they met, chiropractors that have covered my office and ones that they've heard me talk about. And they've just had great conversations, which has kept them feeling excited in that chiropractic community and with that chiropractic lifestyle. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. You seem amazing at what you do. So bringing it to the students right now, me, 10th quarter, about to graduate in about a year, what can I do now to set myself up for success if I want to open up my own practice? What can I do now to set myself up for success to hire a CA or to not? And then also on top of that, to hire or to not, but what is the wage? What are we paying people when we have negative $0? So go ahead and talk on that a little bit, and this will be kind of how we tie things up.
Yeah. Well, I think that when you're first graduating, one of the keys is to figure out what it is that you want. So what is your dream? Do you want to learn from somebody else and start off being an associate and learn, the nuts and bolts of practice? Do you want to purchase someone's practice? Do you want to open your own practice? Like I really, really think that the first key is to figure out what your dream is and figure out what you'd love to create and what the best learning experience is for you as well.
Yeah.
Because there's still, hate to break it to you, Johnny, but there's still a lot of things that you need to learn to transition you from student to chiropractor. Yeah. And that's why Dr. Kim from To Inspire Women, the other partner, she does open consulting calls or strategy sessions every month. So students are more than welcome to jump on those. And that's a great, great bonus that she's offering and providing to help you figure out what it is that you want. But in the beginning, one is figuring out what you want, but then you have to create a plan, or in my opinion, create a plan. So, when are you going to open up? What are you going to do for marketing? What is your target number of new patients? Creating that entire marketing plan and business plan to give you some direction so that you're not just showing up, hanging your shingle and hoping people will show up.
Right.
The most successful chiropractors that I've seen and that I've coached have started their marketing before they've even opened the door. So they've started networking, communicating, doing talks, letting people know and creating that buzz in their community that they're going to be opening up a practice. Yeah. And you can do the same if you're an associate as well. If you know that you're not going to be licensed until August, and you finish school in June, we'll spend the next couple months doing talks and networking and, going to BNI groups and getting people knowing that you're going to be there. And then once you have that plan, that will give you a better idea as to whether you need to hire somebody right away or whether you need to kind of get some bearings before you hire. Mm-hmm. And I don't have a black and white answer for that. That's dependent on you. I know personally, I needed a CA right from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, just to help with the flow and to answer the phone and to collect the money and all of that stuff. The first CA that was hired for me as an associate was a part-time CA. She worked some of my hours. One of the more senior CAs worked for me as well. But it just helped me right from the beginning get that flow down pat and again, do what I need to do. But if money's an issue, you've got two choices. You either work it into your budget and work it into your financial plan, or you wait until you have a bit of a foundation before you hire.
Right.
But if you wait, then you're going to be doing all of those other tasks yourself.
Yeah.
So, It's just a decision that has to be made. But the most important thing in that is you have to make a smart business decision.
Okay.
That's where, you've got to take a look at financial plan. How much do you owe? How much is your overhead? Working through all of those things. And then I know Dr. Kim talked to you as well about wealth creation while you're working on debt reduction. So working on all of those different pieces and really, really working out to the best of your ability. And again, that's where a coach comes into play, because they can kind of guide you and help you create that plan. But to the best of your ability, creating a strong business plan and saying, okay, once I reach X number of patients a week, then it's time to hire. Once I reach this milestone, then it's time to do this. So you're not just leaving it to chance and say, what am I going to do this month? Okay, well, figure it out as you go along. Have a plan and have a system in place so that you know exactly when those things are going to roll out. And then, it'll just make things so much easier and you'll be so much more successful.
Yeah. Where do you, just a kind of quick note, where do you put in ads, or where do you hire CAs from, right? And we kind of talked about co-ops, we talked about students, but are we running ads on Facebook for this? Are we running ads everywhere we can and saying, I need a chiropractic assistant? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But before you do that, make sure you have all those other pieces in place.
Absolutely, yeah.
Make sure you know who you're looking for, what you're looking for, even what your systems are in your office, that you have your business plan. One question that I didn't answer that you asked me was how much you pay.
Yeah.
That's really tough for me to answer because in Canada, our minimum wage is really high.
Okay.
So our minimum wage is $14, I think, right now. I always hire above minimum because I want to hire somebody who wants a career in chiropractic.
Yeah.
So I offer a little bit more, knowing that I'm looking for a high quality person. And not that you can't get a high quality person at minimum wage. It's just a standard that I've set, that it's a career position, it's a paraprofessional, and I'm willing to pay the wages for a paraprofessional. So
Absolutely.
to circle back to that question that you asked.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard. I think there's a lot of, and Dr. Kim and I talked about this on our interview, I think there's a lot of self-discovering and a lot of planning that needs to take place in that transition. And I've talked a little bit about that transition period from student to doctor with all of my interviewees, because I think it's so important to hear doctors' opinions on their transition period and how putting themselves back in the student's shoes, because especially coming out now, we're coming out with thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, and prices of things are only getting higher. But I think if you have this between your ears, and I think if you have a clear vision of what you're looking for, how you are going to attain it, I think that you can be very, very successful in this career. And I think that you can be very successful in that, what we'll call a wicked time between student and doctor.
Yeah, and there's no reason, and I know that you've got exams and you've got projects and you've got all this stuff going on, but there's no reason that you can't start now working on some of those things.
Yeah.
So, just take a day, and not a school day, take a weekend day and just dream and say, the big question that we ask with To Inspire Women is, if there were no rules and I could not fail, what would my ideal practice look like? And you can even, twist that into, what would my ideal life look like? What would my ideal day look like? But since we're talking about that transition, if there were no rules and I could not fail, what would my ideal practice look like?
I love
and
that.
Then just start writing and writing and writing and writing and figure it out, what excites you and what you want. Even with the ideal CA profile and the new patient profile, just what would your dream be? Yeah. And just start writing and writing. There is no reason why you can't do that now, because that's going to get you in that mindset for success, and it's going to get you in the mindset for attraction.
Yeah.
And you want to, have that clear and read it every day. And if it changes, that's okay too. Like as you progress through your education and as you get closer to graduation, what you thought you might want might be different. So that's okay. Just start with a new dream and say, okay, what is it that I really want?
Yeah.
And just have that clarity, because you'll be amazed at what opportunities present to you when you're clear as to what you want and what you want to attract into your life.
Preach. Yeah. Amen. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think when we talk again, and I know you're a professional at hiring CAs, but I also think you have an associate in your office. So I think we should probably talk about how to hire an associate, because I'm sure you have another 12 or 7 or whatever number steps to hire an associate. And I'm sure they look pretty similar to what a CA is, because like you said, they're career people in your office, and I think that's really important. So in closing, Dr. Osborn, what are some action steps people can take right now to find more out about not only you, but what To Inspire Women are doing? How can they go about getting, free coaching, mentoring through To Inspire Women, and how do they get access to you?
Okay. So you can go to our website, and it's www.2inspirewomen.com. And you can read about myself, you can read about Dr. Kim, you can read about Dr. Janice. Another great way to figure out what we're doing is to follow us on Facebook for sure. Because any of our strategy sessions, our open consulting, if we have student sessions, any of these free webinars, those are all getting posted on Facebook. So our Facebook is To Inspire Women. Again, it's number 2 Inspire Women. And then you can also follow us on Instagram as well. And those are the main ways. Get on our list. We've got a lot of freebies, which are fantastic. So you can follow us on Facebook and see some of the free stuff we have. And then once you get on our list, then we'll send you out emails with any specific information, content, courses, anything like that.
Yeah.
And when you go to our website, you can get on our list, get on our email list, and we'll give you what we call our 50 Ways to Fill Your Practice. So it's a free ebook. Again, it's www.toinspirewomen.com, and there will be a pop-up to sign up for that free ebook. So
awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to have you, and we'd love to share and follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and on the website, and we'll keep you informed and up to date. And we just have so much more stuff coming that you want to get on the list now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to do a little bit of a shameless plug here.
Okay.
The Legendary Chiropractor puts this on the Chiropractic Compass podcast. The Legendary Chiropractor online community. Head to thelegendarychiropractor.com/mentor up. If you are interested in free coaching and mentoring as a chiropractic student or a doctor of chiropractic. And also, I want to mention that Dr. Osborn is a mentor on Mentor Up and on the legendarychiropractor.com. So please, please, please schedule a call with her, schedule a FaceTime or a Skype with her, and I am sure she would be honored to lead you and guide you in the right direction as a student or even a doctor out there that needs that extra guidance or just wants to talk to somebody who's been in the profession for so long and that knows exactly what she's doing, exactly what she's looking for. And I encourage you to check out the legendarychiropractor.com/mentor. Dr. Osborn, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do for this profession, not only in Canada, but now bringing you to America via Facebook. So thank you for being here tonight, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I think when we talk again, we will have to talk about hiring an associate, and I think that you would be really, really good at that topic. So please be on the lookout for a message from me coming this spring for season 2 of the Chiropractic Compass podcast. And I look forward to talking to you again, Doc.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye now.